If you are a controller, chief financial officer, accounting manager, or even a junior accountant, if you're working with a team that are dealing with Excel constantly on an everyday basis, this video is for you. It's going to save you guys a tremendous amount of time if you all work together following these 3 steps. 1, work in tables. Have your team work in tables. 2, put your subtotals at the top. Notice I said subtotals, not sub. Put your totals at the top, but make them subtotals. 3, freeze frames. And let me demonstrate why. If you get a data set like this, which came from the Major League Baseball website as of June 10th, these are the standings. You can see we got divisions here, you got names, wins, losses. I know this because I love baseball and I know what these data points are. But if you know nothing about baseball and you get this data dumped on you, what are you going to do? How are you going to gain time? Well, first and foremost is freeze frames. Because if I'm looking at the spreadsheet and I'm all the way down on row 6,000 and I don't even know what these header names are, I got to scroll up. Now, granted, it's a couple seconds, but we're going to do this over multiple times per day, per worksheet, per person. It's going to grow over time. 1, work in tables. Have your team work in tables. First, create tables. Control T automatically knows that I've got headers. 2, put your subtotals at the top. I'm going to add a row so I can put my totals at the top. And I'm just going to do the subtotal. You can see we've got all these choices. I want the sum function and I want to use this column right here. Click here and hit enter. And there's my total. You can also do it with count. So let's say we go over here, subtotal count. We're going to do count A because that's going to count the zeros. I want to know all population. So we'll click here, hit enter. There's 30 teams that have 8,589 runs scored this year so far. 3, freeze frames. If you notice, I still don't have my titles frozen. Luckily, because you're in a table, it defaults to do this. It puts the titles up there. I still want you to freeze frames. Why? Because when you're all the way out of the table, you still don't see what's at the top. So let's freeze frames. Okay, so we've done the table, we froze frames. Those are the 3 steps. What does this mean? Well, first and foremost, you're in control of your data now. So if one of your managers comes up to you and says, look, I want all teams above 300 scoring runs. How many do we have? Well, if I just go to number filters greater or equal to 300 and say, okay, look, I got 11 teams that are at that point right there. So you notice I'm in control of my data. I know where everything stands. There's no more trying to decipher where they got this information, what tab they were in that referenced this cell, that referenced that other tab, that referenced this other cell. Instead, you've got total control of the data here because it's in a table format. Let me also show you. When you're inside the table, you get this little title up here called table design. When you're outside, it goes away. So if you're inside and you click on it, you get extra functionality in the table, but more importantly, it gives you a table name. So let's just rename this Rob. And now you can get any data point off of this table by referencing it because it's all referenceable by name. So if I say equals sum, I start typing in. There it is. It's showing you that this is a table. You double click on it and then use a square bracket. It's going to bring up every one of these headers up here. What do you want to sum? I want to sum run scores. So I close it and enter, done. And it's there. And the better part about this is, let's say here, there's a data point change. It automatically updates it. But you're like, okay, our management needs to see this in a very summarized fashion. I'm going to control X. Then let's create a new tab. Control V and say total runs scored. I'm going to open this up. And we're going to make it pretty by getting rid of the grid lines. Here you are, right? 18,289 runs scored. But this is the summary page. And, type this in for management. This is MGT summary page. But because you're in control of your data, if you change this back to the original amount, guess what? It automatically changes here too. So you're always in control of your data and your data is not controlling you. But here's the beauty of working in tables. Because it's referenceable every bar, I can be in any other spreadsheet and reference the same table and pull out what I want. You can do it. If Sam gives me this spreadsheet, he's my manager. He's like, please summarize this, or here's some data points you can add to your spreadsheet. Well, guess what? To figure out what tab he's in, to what column he did this formula, it's all right here. And more importantly, when I go to the formula, it shows that I referenced a table name and it referenced a field name. So I'm not trying to figure out C5 over to T at this tab. Forget it. It's all referenced here in a very easy fashion. So what does that mean? Well, let's do the time savings. Let's say it takes 6 seconds. All this added up, you saved 6 seconds per worksheet, and you got 6 worksheets, right? And how many days in a work week? 5. How many weeks in a year? We'll do 52 for right now. So what does that mean? Well, you got to multiply all this in. Gives you 9,360 total seconds. That's how many minutes have you saved? Equals that divided by 60. 156 minutes you saved. And how many hours? You just saved 2.6 hours per year. Let's say you got 10 team members. Now you multiply this by that number, and guess what? You just saved 26 hours on the whole team. How many days is that per work week? Days equals that divided by 8. 3 days per year. I just saved you. Well, let's say it actually takes 10 seconds. You're saving 5 days now. They've got 15 worksheets. 13 days. You got 20 team members. 27 days you're saving. That's almost a whole month you're saving. That's the huge benefit of working in harmony with your team in tables, subtotals at the top, and freeze frames.